So you're obviously in Ukraine. Do you serve any other regions, and are you looking to expand into other regions? The project manager at Perovo told me that he could say that yes, we were, but he couldn't say anything else about it.
We have a 3-digit pipeline in the US. We actually have a complete project in California.
Oh wow! How large?
Let's leave it 3-digit.
Okay. 3 digits good enough. And can you say where in California or no? No. Okay. Understandable.
No, see, in general, we do not disclose projects we're working on. We publish when we're done.
Sounds
because
good.
Project.
Even for me though? Even for me in Technica? No? Okay, yes.
You're also a publisher, right?
Yeah.
You're well read, I understand.
I understand.
So I can as well print it on the newspaper.
We all have limits in what we can
No,
do.
this is our policy from day one.
Yeah.
As soon as we are done, we publish a press release and we're done. See, anything.
So it's only when you're completely finished. Because we get a lot that come in like it's going to be finished soon.
Yes.
But to be honest, we don't really, we're not really that interested in writing about a project until it's.
I think a lot.
Until it's complete.
What is this of interest for you? What I'm thinking?
If it's going to be the largest in the world, then we can write about it and it gets a lot of attention. And some of the larger ones, like a 3-digit one, we would probably write about ahead of time. But we're happy to wait and surprise
in California, you know it. It's a PPA-driven market. It's very competitive. So you have to win a PPA.
Extremely
if you don't win a PPA, you will not construct.
Right. Yeah.
So when will we construct?
Yeah.
When we have the PPAs.
Yeah. It's a
very clear.
Tight market. And any other countries?
Yes, we're looking into various other countries. The typical ones which have a lot of sun.
Yeah.
Typically
have
have a reasonable regulatory framework, so you know what you're doing. So that's what we're looking at. I don't want to comment on it's too early.
Also, just more generally, do you, especially since you have great technological background, which I'll ask you about more later, do you expect any notable technology shifts in the solar space in the coming years, or do you think it's going to more or less stay with the technology that's common right now?
I think the mainstream will stay as is, meaning silicon-based, multicrystalline-based, cell-based modules. You're going to see gradual improvements throughout the whole value chain on all parameters. The one element which has a bit of a, I wouldn't say disruptive, but critical element or impact on the business is storage, electricity storage, or put it energy storage, the various way of doing it. So there are now models coming forward which I would say are on the verge of making interest commercially. They're still too expensive, but there could be areas where it absolutely makes sense. Like for example, if you look in California with their constant brownout or frequent brownouts, something which would stabilize the electricity somewhat is, I think, of high value.
Yeah, and I should be a little more informed on this, but we've written a few stories about large companies. I think might have been Panasonic or Samsung or something. They were looking. They were actually starting to market home energy storage systems in Germany, I think, and in Japan, I think. So
they appeared.
Could you speak on that a little more?
A little bit. I saw them first time last year on the Solar. I knew that companies were working on, but they were not commercially available. I think it's still not common to get them.
Right.
I had one offer from my installer for my roof, and he couldn't offer them yet to me.
This was a random, someone randomly.
Oh, it was a Solar World offer. So it's not just anybody, right?
But I mean, they knew who you were, and that's why they you just got to like a normal person.
I have solar thermal on my roof, and I was always looking to build PV, but I need storage. It doesn't make sense anymore to put it. I have an east-west roof, so the investment is a little bit higher than if you would have a south roof per kilowatt hour.
I'm sure you've thought about it very thoroughly.
So that's placed this way. So yes, you see storage on both sides. It's for home usage, and then for the grid stabilization or with the peak shaping, whatever they call it. And the market, I think, in Germany will take off for home storage. So you get now systems between 8 and 13 kilowatt hours, which gives you a day or 2 days of storage at around 8 to 9 to 11,000 euros. So a little bit less, and this thing is going to take off.
Right. I mean, this is something that really excites a lot of readers, because it really puts energy independence and profiting from your own electricity production at another level. If it hits that price point, which, I mean, from what I've read, it seems like it's headed there, but it's not
there yet.
But it's
such a 50%.
Not there yet for sure, but it seems like it's headed there. And if it really does get to that point, that's such a potentially disruptive.
Yes.
Even more so than what we're seeing in Germany right now and Australia, where this is becoming.
See, if this would work out, for the first time, you can really use the key characteristic of solar PV, decentralized power generation.
Exactly.
Because now, when you read in Germany, you said, you're looking at it, we have this wind park sitting in the North Sea, and they are not operating. They're actually using diesel power to turn the turbines into the wind, because they cannot use the electricity. They are switching them literally off by putting diesel in it. It's unreal. Because they haven't figured out how to get the power from offshore into the centers. Yeah,
that decentralized, some people call it democratized electricity potential is something that's really exciting to see, but also really it's hard to know how that's really going to change.
We don't. Nobody knows. You cannot model that. See, friend of mine is now getting a full electric car. Guess what he's going to do with it? He uses as an intermediate buffer for his electricity. He uses it as a battery. Not even as a car.
We have some readers who do that.
Yes, sure. That's one great idea. Everybody thought if everybody would have an electric car or even a hybrid, which would allow the doing this, you would have a decentralized buffer all over the place. See, what are you doing with the cars? You take them out of the garage in the morning, you drive them to work. What is this? 5, 10, 15 kilometer ride, and then you have them stand there for the rest of the day and drive them home, leave them in the garage. So most of the day they are standing around.
Exactly.
So the only thing you need is a cable and a plug. And then you have a huge battery.
I've heard some people criticize this concept because it would wear out the battery more quickly, and the battery is the expensive part of the car. I have some thoughts on that response to that, but I'm curious what your...
So, I can say I'm driving a now 12-year-old Toyota Prius. Still on the first battery. No problem whatsoever.
I don't think this is wood.
And this is one of the, I think, a second generation of those cars they built. So, and they have developed quite a bit on the battery.
I mean, personally, I see that, I think there's going to be a huge reuse market for batteries also. Once they're not great for a car anymore, they'll still be useful for grid storage or something like that.
No. It depends on the type of battery. It's like in a classical lead acid battery. If this battery is no longer performing, it's dead. I can explain it on length.
But with the lithium ion battery?
Lithium ion is the question why they are dead. If the membrane gets dead, then the battery is also destroyed. So the lithium ions will not go dead, that's for sure. but the battery you have to take apart, and they can build a new one. But you have to recycle it, absolutely.
Right. The recycling is quite common.
Yes. But you cannot just take the battery and use it. You have to take it completely apart.
And before I forget, we'll go back to a couple more of these personal stories that came up. One with your friend. What kind of electric car?
I think it's BYD in China.
Okay, cool, interesting.
Yeah, but I haven't fully answered your question on technology. So we got stuff with storage.
Yeah, we'll come back to. Okay.
So there are other technologies which are in the works, and there might be something coming, and this is improvement in cell technologies. See, today there are a few companies who more or less have captive technologies where they make high efficiency cells. Now, quite a few companies are working on high efficiency cells, so you can buy tool sets to make them, which would make these high efficiency cells available for the industry. Like some power cells, the sharp cell, the Sanyo cell, the heterojunction cells, and the Pasha cell of Yingli, you cannot buy those cells. You can only buy the modules. They're clear. So now, if for example a supplier would be able to supply you with a tool set, so everybody could make those cells, then the story would be different.
That's quite interesting.
So this could take the efficiency of solar cells way beyond the 25%. And if we get to that level, and my dream is always still to get a bit higher, then you get close to thermal power plants, which will operate in the 40% range. There's no pollution, no nothing, decentralized. So I think if we
you
are
can't
25 plus, we can easily beat any power plant.
And we often use analogies to other disruptive technologies and industries to try to portray what could happen here with electric cars and solar PV. But all of the other, generally other disruptive technologies, we're talking about cell phones and iPads, iPhones, cars, before. But this is really, energy, electricity. Energy really, because it's electricity and for your car also.
Mobility.
Fuel. And that's just such a huge part of everyone's life and such a huge part of everyone's budgets. More so especially for the average or lower income people. That the effect is just so hard to even. It's hard to see how it could even. It must have so many ramifications for society.
I will submit you can do a lot of modeling even with very high power computer, but you're still gonna miss something.
Yeah.
Like we all see on the iPhone or the
Right.
smartphones in general.
Exactly.
Look, there were people in conferences that talked, the world is coming to, will go to phone. But at that time it was all the discussion whether you have a PC,
Right.
which is gonna also make phone calls, or whether you have a phone which can act as a PC. We know the answer by now, right?
Yes, and and so we cover scientific breakthroughs and research a lot more than some of our other sites in this niche, and it's always hard to know. We see what they put out, but if you're not really a specialist, it's hard to sometimes evaluate how much potential different things have. But we write about things like black silicon and multi-junction solar cells and whatnot.
That's the right way to go. Yeah.
So you think that is really
Yes, not the space type gallium, indium,
right?
thing. They are too expensive.
Right.
But multi-junction is the right thing.
You think that is going to be the?
That's what I believe. See, I spent all my life in silicon, and I know what you can do with silicon, and you can do a lot. And we have still not elaborated all the potential of silicon plus more layers.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw, but I was in Abu Dhabi in January for the Sustainability Week. Big several conferences. International Renewable Energy Conference was one of them, and one of the great speakers there was Dan Arvizu, who you might know from the director of the National Renewable Energy Laboratory, NREL, in the U.S. And he had a great chart showing where we are with record efficiencies for different technologies, where we are with commercial, and where we are with potential, recognized theoretical potential. So the potential was much greater than any of the records we have, even in the lab, and so it definitely seems like there's that potential there. One of the ones that stood out was thin film solar, because it had actually a lot of potential, but was lower still. But it's an interesting case, because thin film was rising, and then the cost of conventional PV dropped, and thin film has been struggling. But there's projections that if they can increase efficiency, they will end up rising again. What are your thoughts?
With a big if, I believe in thin film on silicon.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. That's
not thin film.
Okay. So thin film on silicon.
Yes.
Yeah. Interesting.
But I might be wrong.
Yeah, right. Anyone can be wrong, but it's great to get an expert opinion on that. We don't get a chance to talk to too many scientific experts in person, so it's great. And the other personal story, the one I'm just really curious. Solar World contacted you about the.
I contacted my installer. Asking for an offer. He was an official installer for Solar.
So it wasn't like you got someone coming to your door
I did not send
or a phone call.
I did not call the fund aspect and ask him to give me a.
But you didn't have someone actually approaching you, like a salesman, like ringing doors and.
No.
Okay. If that happened, I was going to be really like, wow. So they're really putting people out there. But it could be sometime soon. We're trying to keep our eye on that, because it seems the potential is huge, and we've heard word of this here and there.